Game number 9 coming up this weekend. Heading up to Rice Eccles up there in Salt Lake City. Looking forward to the matchup. Thought we had a really productive bye week last week, and really proud of the guys the way they attacked that week. Had some really good practices in there, and got a lot of work done. So now with our focus being on our opponent, we got an early start last week, but we've been able to. Now that it's within the week, it's an exciting time for us to get ready for this game, and looking forward to the matchup, and exciting that the rivalry's back. So with that being said, I'll answer any questions you guys want to ask. What do you got?
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Jared Lloyd and then John Kuhn.
Kalani, what's it like for you to walk into Rice Eccles Stadium with BYU, having played there, having coached there? What are those moments like when you walk onto that field?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's, obviously had a lot of memories there as a player and as a coach, and now as the head coach of BYU. So it's going to be, I mean, personally, I probably have a different perspective than a lot of other people, but when it's all said and done, it becomes a game. Once the ball is kicked off and we're able to start the game clock. I think it all gets back to game moment and game mode, and I'm excited to see our players take the field. I'm not playing, which is a relief for me right now, but just excited to see these young men compete on both sides, and really looking forward to this matchup. It's an exciting time for our guys.
How hard is it to recover when your team's going through a rough patch? Utah's done that. You've been through it as a coach before. How hard is it to kind of right the ship and get things back the direction you want to go?
I think that's just part of the game. I mean, you look at the situation that's happening in college football, that especially when you get towards the end in November, becomes a test on how you're going to finish. So I think everyone's been there. Coach Witt's been here before, so he'll have those guys ready to roll, and I got to make sure that our guys are ready to roll. I'm not. If you watched over the weekend, you can't bank on anything. College football is unpredictable. There's a lot of parity in this conference. We've said that from the very beginning, so it definitely has our attention. If not before, now it does over the weekend. So this is an exciting time. I've said it before for our players, and just looking forward to the game. Really looking forward to this prep, to the work that we can get done today and this week, and I'm excited that the game is right around the corner.
Go ahead, John.
Kalani, talking to Kyle Whittingham earlier this morning, he mentioned how you'd be hard-pressed to find another team outside of BYU that's playing complementary football better than what the Cougars are doing at the moment. What's kind of key to your ability as a team to play complementary football so well, to have all three phases clicking the way they have the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think it's going really nicely. I think I have to give a lot of credit to the players themselves, and understanding the complementary part of football, and buying into the stuff that our coaches have taught them. You have to buy into your 1/11th. That really has to happen. The complementary football goes from all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams. But it definitely goes on your own phase. If you're on defense, doing your 1/11th so that you can have success, and then maximizing the opportunities that come your way if it's for you to make the big play. But in order for that to happen, everyone's got to do their part and buy into what's happening. And part of that is learning and knowing exactly what everybody else is doing. I think that takes some time. I think our guys are doing a great job at it. Have we played perfect? No. Can we play better? Yes, and I'd like to see that happen this weekend. I mean, I thought last week was a really good week of prep for us, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of things that we can fix, and like to see us. I mean, like I said, last week was a good jump start for it. I'd like to see us continue the momentum that we have from last week to this week in the prep against Utah.
Thanks, John. We'll take our next questions from Jay Drew and then Jake Hatch.
Kalani, with I think 9 of your 11 defensive starters are from Utah, not as many on offense, but quite a few. But with the out-of-state kids, do you have to coach them at all on the rivalry, talk to them about it, the history, or do you just kind of let the players take care of that?
No, I think that's part of the. I mean, we're all about love and learn, and part of learning is educating them on what this game means. But also, you want to keep it to them just doing their job. The new players that are here, since they stepped on campus, I think the fans themselves have already educated our players on how important this game is. But for us as a coaching staff, we have to get back to the basics, and it doesn't really matter who's on the other side. We've got to. There's a lot of things that we can do differently and do better as a team first before we can start really worrying about the drama and the emotions that go into the game. I think playing with a lot of passion is going to be a test of this, if you guys love football or not. And I like even the newcomers to the team that don't know a lot about this rivalry. I think they care a lot about their fans. They care about their teammates, and they know that this game's important. So just like every game's happened, and I like their approach so far. So we'll keep working how we've been the entire season.
And then, do you expect to get a couple guys back this week? Cody Epps, I think you said, was getting close. I don't know about Connor Pay. I can't imagine he'd be back. But what is the health of your team going into the rivalry game? Those
two specifically, doubtful. I mean, I think there's a responsibility from our end to decide if we're putting them at risk or not. And I really believe that we got to be careful. I mean, last week we got a good look at them, and we're not. It's not comfortable enough for us to say that those two will be ready. If you're asking about the rest of the entire team, I think the rest of the guys seem good, seem ready. We're excited, man. I think looking at LJ from the UCF game, he's going to be 100%. So we feel good, other than those two guys and some others that have been hurt for some time. But we're feeling good about going into this game with the health of our team.
Go ahead, Jake.
Kalani, Kyle refused to name a starting quarterback, so it would be a two-way battle, it appears, all the way up to game time. How do you go about preparing for both Brandon Rose and Isaac Wilson?
We've got to prepare for anything that they can throw at us. I mean, they've had an extra week, so there's a lot of different things that we have to probably over-prepare for, but that's okay. I'd rather be that way than – I mean, we have to take a look at all the quarterbacks that are on the roster and be ready for them. And I think – Jay's got a good start on that, and I don't think he can give Utah a lot of hard time about it. They're trying to figure out. We've been there before, trying to figure out who'll be the best guy to earn the spot, and we just have to prepare for all those guys, and that's part of that is just us being assignment sound and not worrying about who's behind center. But I don't think it's for us. We have to really worry too much about that. They're very capable players, and they have a lot of talent on their team, and so they have our respect. We see it on film. We see the talent and the toughness that they bring. So we just have to be ready for all of it in every phase.
Metrics-wise, they're one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league. What are your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to play ball, man. I don't think you can. You can't sit there and just predict what's going to happen. I think you got to play your best, and then you live with the results. So you got to prepare for your best, and that's what we're focusing on. We've seen on film. We know they're a talented team. We've been through this many times before, especially during this year. So we're expecting our guys to play better. That's what we need to do, and then we have to bring a lot of energy and a lot of effort to the field, and then we'll just see what happens after the first ball snapped.
We'll take our next questions from Mitch Harper and then Jared Lloyd.
Kalani, why do you believe this series tends to always produce four-quarter games that are typically pretty close?
A lot of emotions and a lot of there's a lot of parity in between the teams, and it doesn't really matter a lot the records. I think there's a lot of pride that goes into both sides and tradition, and so we're gonna get their best effort. I've said this over and over again every week, and it's more definite now than ever before that we will get their best effort and their best shot, and we need to make sure that they get ours as well. And if we can get that done, and who knows what's going to happen, but we have to prepare for everything, man. It's a fun game to be a part of, and I'm glad that it's back, and want our guys to enjoy every second of it.
it's hard to get nitpicky with a undefeated record, but is there an area or two that you want to see improvement in the final month of the regular season?
Nitpicky is what we've been doing this whole time, the entire year. So these guys are used to us correcting any of the concerns that we have or the mistakes that we've made in the last game, and they've done a great job at getting those, being focused on them and finding ways to make it better. And so just going from the last two games, if you look at how we went from Oklahoma State to the UCF game, I thought the guys did a great job in preparing and correcting a lot of the issues that we had from that game, the seventh game to the eighth. I'd like to see us make the jump now from the eighth game to the ninth and correct a lot of the issues. So we've been nitpicking the entire time. That's what we have to do. But in terms of correcting the mistakes, we also have to combine that with praising the good things that we're seeing from our players, and keep the momentum going and encouraging them that all these things matter. And sometimes it's just focusing on the small and simple things, and that's what we've been doing the entire year. It's worked so far, and we are doing the same thing this week. And there's no change.
Well, you were talking about the emotion and passion that comes with the rivalry game. Is it important to make sure the guys channel that and just instruct them? Because sometimes we've seen it before where guys lose their heads a little bit because of that energy and stuff. It's important to make sure that they're locked in. This team's been pretty good at that, but this is a little different scenario.
It's not a different scenario. It's the same scenario every week. So I think everybody's making a big deal, but when football starts, it really just becomes the game, and we're focused on playing the game. Not focused on anything other than the preparation for the game, going into it. And these guys, I have a good group of leaders on our team. They do a great job at reminding each other what needs to take place and what the things that we need to correct. And I've been really pleased with the way the leaders have taken ownership in the whole program. And so I'm going to lean on them heavily again. I'm going to meet with them again. We meet every week and see what their thoughts are and get a good feel from the team from their perspective, and then allow them to go out and lead and continue what they've been doing the entire time. And sometimes the best thing I can do as a head coach is step out of the way and let the boys handle it. And they've done a great job so far. And we've gone into hostile environments before, and this is going to be another one. So I think the guys are up for the challenge. They're excited for it. They should be. And it's a great opportunity for us to go play the game and just keep it that the game is the game.
I also wanted to ask, how would you describe Kyle Whittingham to someone who's never met him?
Oh, man. Great mentor, great friend, and a great competitor. He is a football guy, and he's tough, and he's holds his guys accountable. But there's a good side to him that I've seen, and I think everybody's seen that he cares about his players and he cares about his staff, and I've been a benefactor of that, and I've been able to be a close friend of his. And listen, he wants to win this game just as much as I do, but I'm honored to be his friend. And after we're done with the game, we'll go back to being friends again. But this is he's taught me to do this the right way. You need to make sure that you focus on the boys first. That's what he's doing, and that's what I'm trying to do as head coach.
Thanks. We'll take our last questions from Jake Hatch.
Kalani, kind of going off of that, the connection between these two staffs, you've got Gary Anderson working with you, Jay, Aaron, he's got guys that the connection between these two staffs are unique. How much does that tie into this game in your mind?
Yeah, that's very common. It's not an uncommon thing in this rivalry to have a lot of crossover, and that's going to happen when you have guys that come from the same coaching tree, and our connection to Kyle Whittingham and his connection to Leva Edwards and the connection to both programs. That's a very common theme. And so, but when it comes down to it, the players are the guys that are on the field making it happen. And this isn't about the coaches and the analysts and the assistants. We have a lot of guys that are very familiar with being up there in Salt Lake City, and the same thing goes for them. So they have BYU alumni on their staff too. So that's why this rivalry is so unique, And that's why when I mentioned before last week, I think we have a chance to do it different and do it better, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking to a very competitive game on Saturday with a lot of cheering and excitement and energy, and then I'm looking forward to after the game, regardless of the result, showing a high level of respect and love and appreciation for each other. So that's the goal.
I also wanted to ask about your quarterback. Is Jake doing what you expected him to do to this point in the season?
He's doing a great job, and is there room for improvement? Of course, but I'm really proud of the way that he's been able to get better every week, and the way that he's just embrace all the opportunities, whether it's a difficult circumstance or a favorable one. I've been really proud of the way Jake has been leading this team and been playing the position. He's super humble, so he's always looking for an opportunity to get better, and I'm really proud of his leadership and just really honored to be his coach.
Thanks so much, Coach. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, you had to walk in right when I was going to say that, huh?
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about?
And it looks like he's here. Hi, Jake. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Yep.
We'll just start with some questions from Jared Lloyd and then John Kuhn.
Jake, you've heard all of us talk about the rivalry, but how much are you looking forward to what will probably be your only opportunity to play a game at Rice-Eccles Stadium against Utah?
It's going to be fun. You know, we know that place is super hostile, especially when we go up there, and so we're super excited for it. It's obviously going to be another test, and, you know, it's going to be another tough game, and especially up there, it gets a little tougher.
You've played in games against rivals, whether high school, JC, whatever it is. How do you handle the emotion, trying to balance not getting too carried away, but letting it kind of carry you? How do you approach that?
I play with enough motion as it is, so I just try to remove the emotion from the rivalry and attack it like a football game. It's not something that the fans want to hear, but it's the truth, and that's how you go win these games. Is you remove that intense emotion out of it, and then you just go play ball and keep executing like we've done all year.
Go ahead, John.
Jake, coming in to this rivalry from out of state, what are your impressions of it? I mean, what kind of stands out about this game to you?
You know, it just ever since I've been here on campus, you learn about the rivalries, and so you just get to talk to people about it. I've been fortunate to talk to guys like John Beck about his experience in the rivalry. Obviously, he's played some good games and won at least one or a couple games in this rivalry. So, you know, we know it's important and we know it's a big game, but, you know, we still got to approach it like professionals and go out there every day and execute.
Okay, we'll take our next questions from Mitch Harper and then Sean Walker.
Jake, how beneficial was it to have the bye week to get a head start on a rivalry matchup like this one?
Yeah, it was great. But of course, you know, they got the same head start, so we just know that we're got to be ready for anything. When a team comes off a bye week, you never know what they're going to come out in. They can switch up a lot of things in a 2-week span, and so we got to be hitting it hard, and we have last week, and we'll hit it even harder this week, hitting the film and stuff like that. And so that's the thing about a bye, man. It's a lot more unknowns. It's not, you know, we saw this, you know, against Oklahoma State. Their offense came out in a totally different structure and style of play, and so, you know, we got to be ready for anything. And so it's nice to have the bye week to get the bodies feeling great again, and the mental side of it too, but it's also going to take even more mental.
When you arrived at BYU, you knew about kind of the quarterback history, or at least the level of success they produce with their quarterbacks. How much did you know of your research at BYU when you arrived about this rivalry? I know you kind of touched on what you've heard on campus, but did you know much about it before you arrived at BYU?
It's hard to get a good feeling about it when you're not here yet, and so I knew it was a rivalry, but you can't. It's hard to feel the intensity of it until you're starting to be around the building and talk to people about it and stuff like that. And so, you know, we're going to be prepared come Saturday night, and we're excited for the opportunity to play in this great rivalry.
maybe I can zoom in a little bit on that, Jake, because you touched on it enough. But do you remember what your first conversation was about this game and this series with a teammate or a coach or somebody on campus? Like, do you remember kind of the first thing that somebody said to you about BYU in Utah?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I know the first real conversation I had about it was with John Beck, and he just told me about his, I called him and asked him about it. But also, like, you always hear it around town, man. I mean, it's like they care about this game more than any other game on the season. And so, you got to be able to approach it, a certain way. But like I said, like, you got to be able to approach it, like another game week. You know what I mean? We talk about every week is a statement week. Kalani says that all the time. And so this is statement number 9 we got to make. And then, we talk about the way we prepare is every week is a Super Bowl for us. And so this is Super Bowl 9 for us. And so, yeah, the rivalry makes it a little bigger deal. But in our minds, we got to just keep our preparation the same because it's been working all year.
Go ahead, Jay Drew, and then Jake Hatch.
Jake, I've lost count of how many national interviews you've done, but it's been pretty remarkable. How have you been able to balance that with, being BYU's quarterback, and also has BYU coached you on any of it, or is that just Jake what we're seeing, which is you've done a nice job of that?
We got the best media squad up here. Shout out Kenny, shout out Brett. Those guys always got me dialed in. They're preparing me well. They always pick the best ones and get it set up for me. They do all the work behind the scenes for me, and so I just have to show up and say a few words, and usually it turns out okay. Those guys are awesome, and I have a lot of my time and availability. It's all down to them. They know how to squeeze into my schedule and stuff like that, and then they're doing a great job of not overloading me, because I can't imagine the amount of requests they get based on the amount of stuff I'm doing. They must be getting a ton, and so they're doing a good job understanding my schedule and keeping me focused on the main thing.
When you basically committed to BYU, in your wildest imagination, did you ever think you'd be on all these shows and doing all the media that you've done?
No, man. You kind of understand that it comes with the job, but at the same time, I don't think I ever saw myself talking to all these guys like the Rome and Eisen show, and talking to Leinert, we're casually talking. It's a cool deal, man. And so it's fun to be able to embrace the moment, but then, like I said, not get caught up in it too much, and just keep on moving and going in the right direction.
Jake, I want to ask you about your play overall to this point in the season. Where would you evaluate yourself right now?
I think I'm doing a good job getting better as the week goes on, and honestly, that's what our offense has done. That's the name of the game for our offense so far this year. You watch our progression game by game, and we just look better and better, and a more polished result week by week. And so that's the best thing, man. We're getting towards our peak at the best time of the year. When would you rather be playing your best ball than late in the year, November, and then later on? We're doing a good job of that, and so I'm proud of the guys for keeping that up. I think I'm taking ownership of that, and hopefully leading the guys in that direction to feel that way, where it's about getting better. It's not about just hanging your hat on a win. You could do that, but it's about getting better for the next week.
How big has the improvement in the run game been to just make the offense that much more dangerous?
It's just been awesome, man. If you guys witnessed it, I think we got to be the most improved offense from year to year in college football, because those guys up front, Coach Woods dialed them up. The run game is so fun. I love being a part of the run game. LJ Martin finally passed me up for leading rush on the season, which is disappointing, but not at the same time, because he's a great runner. And the only reason it took so long is because he was out for a couple games beginning of the year, to be honest, because that guy's a great running back. And we run behind a great O-line, so it's been super fun to utilize that part of the game and open up play action, shots downfield.
Okay, we'll take our last questions from Kevin Reynolds.
When you talked to John Beck earlier this year, or last year, I guess, did you talk at all about the Utah game and how it affects quarterback legacies at BYU and how quarterbacks are remembered?
Yeah, like I said, he was the first serious phone call I had about the rivalry. He was the first guy that was like, okay, what does this mean? What am I going to expect? What does this mean? And obviously he's had some his memorable, heroic moments in the rivalry. Obviously the touchdown pass to win the game is the first thing that comes to mind. And so, talking to him about it, he's been able to just, relay the message, yeah, this is super important. And then, I've talked to Era a little bit, hey, you quarterback that wins this game, you go down in history, and you'll always be remembered fondly by the BYU fans if you go beat the Utes. And so we're excited for this game. We're excited for the next opportunity. But like I said, man, it is a work week, like very similar to any other week. It's just not as far as travel.
And last thing, growing up in California, watching a lot of college football, which rivalries did you grow up watching the most?
The rivalries I remember the most of is UCLA, USC. That's down the street from me. The fun, everybody remembers the kick six, the Alabama Auburn game. Like that was a fun game to watch. Obviously with two great teams. Like when it comes to rivalries, man, it was just fun to watch them all. It was cool to watch the in-state stuff for me. Like like I said, the Bama rivalry, the USC rivalry, like BYU falls in that rivalry, and that in-state rivalries. The Pac-12 was obviously something I watched a lot growing up, being from the West Coast, and so like the Washington State, Arizona State, like all these cool in-state rivalries makes it so fun because they are really right up the street, and so it's important.
Thanks, Jake. That's all the questions for today.
Sweet.
Have a great week.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, we'll have Jack Kelly up next. So if you guys have questions for Jack, you can go ahead and use the raise hand function. Hi, Jack. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you. We'll just start with questions from Jared Lloyd.
Jack, how much are you looking forward to playing in this game on Saturday and experiencing this rivalry for yourself?
I'm super excited. I know the environment's going to be amazing. I know there's going to be tons of Utah fans, tons of BYU fans, and I'm excited to be able to hopefully come out on top and show Cougar Nation what we're about. But growing up watching it, I know it's going to be an exciting and impactful game.
How do you handle the emotions of games like this when you've been in rivalries or other things? Because sometimes you get a little jacked up, and sometimes guys get a little carried away. How do you handle that?
I'd say just try to stay grounded, know that it's just another game. I know, like, for a lot of fans and different people, it's going to be, like, bigger than another game, but at the end of the day, we're going out there playing football with the same guys. So just trying to stay grounded and know that we've done this before.
Take our next questions from Jake Hatch and then Mitch Harper.
Jack, you've probably been asked this a million times. You grew up in this state. Has it been a rivalry you've watched all your life, or is it one you kind of ignored?
I've definitely watched it. Like you said, growing up in Kearns, I've always watched the rivalry year in, year out, and it's been something that I'm excited to playing in this year and seeing all the emotions and how the fans get impacted by this. I'm super excited.
Were you on one side or the other growing up at all?
No, I just watch both.
I also want to ask one other quick question on the defensive side of things. You guys have seen a major uptick in your tackles for loss, sacks, since the end of the season. What's led to that?
I think the coach is coaching us up correctly, and then also the players being willing to take those coaching points. All the coaches do a great job at implementing different drills and things of that such to help us on game day, and all the players have done a great job at accepting that coaching and producing it on Saturday.
Jack, what were the areas of focus during the bye week to get ready for this game week for the defense last week?
Just getting our bodies back and our minds right. Obviously, it wasn't a super physical week, so we were all just focused on getting our bodies healthy and then also staying in the film room, getting that extra work so that our minds are ready for Saturday.
We'll take our next questions from Sean Walker and then Jay Drew.
Yeah, guys, just wondering if I could zoom in a little bit. You mentioned how you've grown up around the rivalry, coming from across the Salt Lake Valley and Kearns and everything, and didn't really get too far into it one side or the other. But do you remember your first experience with the rivalry game, like how old you were, maybe the first game you went to, or just kind of your first moment of like, okay, this is it in the state?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the first time I remember it, I was probably about 14. Because growing up, I raced BMX, so I wasn't like super into football. So I think the first time I really watched a rivalry was I was like 14.
Hey, Jack, a couple questions for you. You told me one time your sister goes to the University of Utah, or is she graduated from there, or?
Yeah, she's graduated now.
Okay. Is she going to be cheering for you or the Utes?
Of course me, because she's family.
And then I want to ask you about you've got Gary Anderson and Coach Chad and Jay Hill, just a lot of guys that coached at Utah. Have they passed anything on to you about what the game means to them, or have they even brought it up?
They touched on it a little bit, just like how big a game it is for both sides. They haven't really got too in-depth about it because at the end of the day, it is another game. They don't want people overthinking it or getting out of their mental space. So overall, they told us about it, but haven't gone too in-depth about it.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Sorry, Jared, did you have any more questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple for you, Jack. Just what have you seen from Utah's offense? I know they've had struggles, but you've had a little time to look at it. What have you seen as you guys have broken it down to prepare for this game?
They've got a lot of weapons. They got a big O-line up front that's physical. The whole offense is going to be physical. They got some receivers that make plays. So it's going to be a tough game for us. We know that they're a great team, and we're going to have to bring our A game. They've had 2 weeks to prepare like we have, so we know we're going to get their best shot, and we're looking forward to it.
I imagine you also had a chance to watch a little football over the weekend. There were some upsets, particularly in the Big 12. Is that kind of another just reminder, hey, we got to be on our A game or we could be in trouble just like these other teams ran into?
Yeah, for sure. Like we've seen with college football this whole year, that anyone can win on any day. So if you don't bring your A game or look over any team, that's going to be the day that you get got. So we have to make sure that we prepare for every game like it's the biggest and go from there.
All right, Jack, that's all the questions we have for you today. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry, guys, I'm having some technical difficulties. Hinckley Ropati will be up next, so if you have questions for Hinckley, go ahead and raise your hand. Hi, Hinckley, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing good, and you?
Doing good, thank you. Okay, let's see. We'll go ahead and start with questions from John Kuhn and then Jared.
Hinckley, the last couple of games, BYU's really shown a consistent ability to run with the running game to get big plays and consistent plays. What do you attribute that consistency to, that you guys have been so successful on the ground, particularly the last couple of games?
I think a big reason to the success that we're having in the run game is because of the guys up front. Obviously, and then also just the way our offensive unit coaches run practices. I mean, we make it a big ordeal in practice to be able to run the ball really well, and we do a lot of repetitions of that. We go through all of our plays and execute them the best way we can every single practice, and so I think all of that, it's the culmination of all those things is what attributed to us being able to run the ball hard, and then obviously just the mentality of the running backs in the room, and so yeah.
Hinckley, there are a lot of guys that don't know what it's like to play against Utah now because it's been a couple of years. What is it like? How do you describe it to them when, remembering the game you were at in 2021? And
yeah.
What's the experience like?
Oh man, I think a lot of the guys that haven't experienced it are in for a big one, because I remember my first experience in this rivalry, and it was one to remember, you know what I mean? And being able to do it here in Provo and win that way and have the crowd rush the field, that was super fun to be a part of. Now we're going to be in their territory, obviously, up in Utah, and it's going to be the same type of environment. But like I said, man, it's a crazy rivalry to be a part of. It's something that I've been able to grow more and more a part of since my time being here. My first year was I'm just a new guy. I don't really know what's going on. Don't understand the bad blood between the two teams or whatever it is. And then as soon as you see the way, the coaches get into it. It's not just the coaches, but the communities get into it. And it's pretty fun to see,
I remember that Aaron Roderick, after that 2021 game, talked about how important it was to keep running the ball despite Utah's defense being so good against the run. I know Tyler Algier had a big game. Yeah. Jaron Hall had a big game. That probably is going to carry over because they've got a good defense again. How nice is it to, what's that like for you and the running backs to shoulder that responsibility and be ready for it against a good defense?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it's something we take a lot of pride in. As a running back unit, it's something that we look forward to every game, not just facing really great defense like Utah, but it's every game. I think that's the recipe to win a game, is running the ball really great and then being able to play great defense. And so I think we've been able to do that consistently, within the last few weeks. And I mean, it just goes to show, right? So yeah.
Thanks, Jared. We'll take our next questions from Jake Hatch and then Mitch Harper.
Hinckley, I wanted to ask you, do you enjoy playing in hostile environments?
I actually do. I do enjoy playing in hostile environments. One of the things that actually A-Rod always tells us whenever we go on the road is our goal is to always make the crowd silent, and we love when we're able to do that on away games, and that's something that we enjoy doing. So yeah.
I also wanted to ask you to evaluate your play to this point in the season. I know you've dealt with some minor injuries along the way, but how do you feel like you've come back from what cost you a season a year ago?
It's honestly been, like you said. I mean, obviously it's been a journey dealing with the injuries and all that, but it's been great to be able to stay healthy and to be able to contribute wherever I can. I think that's always been my mentality, is to be able to help the team win whenever way that may be, whether that's on the bench and cheering the guys on and making sure everyone is doing their 111th, or on the field running the ball hard and trying to bring that energy and momentum to our side of the ball. So it's been a super I guess full circle moment to be able to finally be healthy and contribute week in and week out. So yeah.
How much have you been enjoying the juggling of being a father and a college football player and a husband too? How much have you been enjoying that?
It's been super fun. I mean, obviously stressful a bit, but not too much as people would think, just because I have an amazing support group with my wife and my in-laws who help so much with that. But it's been super fun to be able to, these last 6 weeks, to see how much they grow, and it's something that I've really enjoyed.
So does the stress of a first-time father pale and compare far greater than what the rivalry game is? This is a little bit lighter load then.
Most definitely. I think it actually puts things into perspective. Like, this is, like you said, it's the stress of being a father, I think, is so much more than anything else that I've experienced. So yeah.
Thanks.
Hinckley, what is your first memory of meeting Jake Retzlaff, and what were your first impressions of him?
Oh man, my first memory, I think the first time I saw him, I was already told beforehand that he was a JUCO kid, right? And so I did my research on him and saw the type of numbers he was putting up, and I was like, okay, this guy's a baller. And so when he came in, we kind of already had that that commonality of just both being JUCO guys, and so we hit it off right away. Dude's a great guy. He's funny, and just the way he approaches the game, I respect so much, and I think that's why we got along so well. It's just how much he prepares and how much he takes his game so very serious, and how well he plays, and so yeah.
And then just has it surprised you that the success he's had, or did you kind of recognize that talent pretty much from the beginning?
I think everyone recognized that talent right away. I mean, just the things that he does in practice. I still remember one of my first experiences with him, being back from injury, and my first practices with him. So I remember one time he threw a ball, and I looked at him and was all like, yep. I didn't agree with the decision he made, and I talked to him about it, and he said it wasn't a bad decision, just a bad ball. It just goes to show the kind of player he is, and the confidence that he has in his abilities, and it definitely exudes to the rest of the offense.
Thanks, Jay. We'll take our last questions from Jared Lloyd.
Wait, how much do you guys I know you guys approach each week as a Super Bowl, but how much do you guys look back and just appreciate what you've been able to accomplish to this point in the season? One of only 5 undefeated teams at this point. Do you guys spend any time just at least having that gratitude side as well?
Oh, most definitely. I think that's a big thing that Coach Kalani preaches to us, week in and week out, is to be grateful for what we've been able to accomplish so far, but then to look forward to how much more we can still accomplish. And I think that's the one thing that makes this team so different, is that we're not focused on what we've already done, but we're looking forward to the new week. And so we kind of take every week as it is, and like the guys mentioned before, every week is a Super Bowl. Every week is, for us, is a new statement. And so that's something that Coach Kalani always preaches to us week in and week out. And so I think that's been a huge contributor to why we've been able to have the success we've been able to have, is just because we just focus at the task at hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And last thing for me, I know you've probably had a chance to break down Utah's defense. What makes them so good? What are you seeing as you get ready for this game?
I mean, Utah's got great players. I mean, they've had the history of having great defense, having a great defense. And so they have great players with great coaching, you know what I mean? Guys who can move, and guys who are big and things of that sort. And if I'm not mistaken, they have I'm pretty sure they're like the number one defense in the Big 12 right now. And so we're super excited for the challenge ahead, you know what I mean? They're a great team. Their records may not show it, they're 4-4, but to be completely honest, these guys are not a 4-4 team, especially their defense, you know what I mean? The way they play and the way they fly around. And so, we're super excited for the challenge, and we're looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, Hinckley. Appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys. Let's have a good one.